So let's review. Zok the Mishnah, Shishit devarim aser anchi yerichai, al shleisha micha b'yadam, v'al shleisha loy micha b'yadam. There were 6 things that the people of Yerichai did, 3 of which the Chacham objected to, and 3 of which they did not object to. The Brisa quotes a similar passage about Chizkiyahu HaMelech. Shisha dvarim aser Chizkiyahu HaMelech, al shleisha haydulai, v'al shleisha loy haydulai. Chizkiyahu did 6 things, 3 of which the Chacham approved of: dragging his father's bones on a bed of ropes, crushing the copper snake from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, and hiding the book of medicine, and 3 of which they did not approve of: cutting down the doors of the Heichal to send to Melech Asher, closing up the waters of Gichin, and adding an extra month to the calendar after Nisan had already begun. The Gemara first discusses the 3 things for which the Chacham did not criticize the people of Yerichai. According to our Mishnah, and according to Rabbi Yehuda and the Brisa, the Chacham did not actually approve of any of these things, but simply did not object. According to Rabbi Meir and the Brisa, the Chacham actually approved of these actions. Markiven de kolim kolayim. They would graft palm trees all day on Erev Pesach. This isn't referring to normal grafting, but it either refers to a procedure of injecting some sort of mixture into a palm tree to help the fruit grow, or to putting a male branch into a female branch of the same tree to help it grow. The Kirchen Shema, they wrapped the Shema, which means either that they did not pause after the first pasuk of Shema between Echad and V'yohavta, or that they paused but did not say Baruch Shem Kavod Machusay Leilam Voed, or that they did not pause between Hayom and Alav Avecha, which makes it sound like Hayom Alav Avecha V'loi Machar Alav Avecha. The mitzvahs should be on our hearts today only, but not tomorrow. V'anan my time amrinle. Parenthetically, the Gemara discusses why we say Baruch Shem Kavod Machusay Leilam Voed in Kriya Shema. When Yaakov Avinu called his sons and said, He asvu v'agidulchem, because Yaakov legalis labanav ketz hayamin, he wanted to tell his children about the end of days. But he couldn't because the Shechina left him. At first he thought this happened because his children were not worthy, upon which they all declared, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Yaakov's response was, Baruch Shem Kavod Machusay Leilam Voed. Chazal did not want to institute this line in Kriya Shema because Moshe never said it, but they did not want to leave it out either because Yaakov did say it. Therefore, Hiskinu Shiyu Eimer Moshe B'chashay, they instituted saying it quietly. They would harvest and pile the grain before the Karban Omer was brought. The Gemara explains that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the Chacham actually approved of the Ketzira, the harvesting, before the Karban Omer. They only disapproved of the Gedisha, the piling of the grain. Next thing Gemara goes on to discuss the 3 things that the Anshe Yerichai did for which the Rabban explicitly criticized them. Matirin gizmiya shel hektish, shel charv v'shel shikma. They allowed people to use the branches of certain hektish trees because they assumed that only the trunks and not the branches were made kaddish, and subsequent growth is not subject to me'ilah. The Chacham criticized this because even though ein me'ilah begidulan, the later growth is not subject to me'ilah, it is still usher to use midrabanan. Oichlin mitachas hanesharim b'Shabbos. They would eat fallen fruit from under trees on Shabbos. The Brisa explains that this means they would breach the fences in their gardens so that the poor people could come in and eat the fruit that had fallen. There are 2 versions as to what the disagreement was between the Anshe Yerichai and the Chacham. First, the machlokes is only about the fruits that were stuck in the high branches of the tree, and they argued whether Gazrin and Shemayala v'Yitlesh, we should make it usher to take those detached fruits, since somebody might climb up and take attached fruits too. Second, the machlokes is about the fruits in the lower branches, and they argue whether the fruits are muktzah, since when Shabbos began, they were only usable for birds. The argument is whether we assume muchen la'orvim have a muchen la'adam. Something that is prepared for use by birds is considered prepared for humans' use as well. V'noisnin peah liyerik. They would give peah from vegetables. The Gemara asks, how the Anshe Yerichai could assume vegetables are chayav peah if the Mishnah in Pei explicitly says that one of the 5 qualifications necessary to be chayav in Pei is that machnis likim. It is brought into the house to last for a long time, whereas vegetables spoil quickly and do not last very long. The Gemara answers, Hacha berashi leftes askinan. We are talking about turnip leaves, and the Anshe Yerichai held that since the leaves are brought in together with the bulbs which last a long time, they too are chayav in Pei. The Rabban, however, held that machnis likim al de davar achar loish mekim. If something is brought in to be stored for a long time only on account of something that it is being brought in with, like the leaves are brought in only on account of collecting and preserving the bulbs, it is not considered to be lasting and is patur from payah. Even though there is nothing wrong with giving a little extra to poor people, even when there is no chiv payah, Rashi in the Mishnah explains. The Rabbanan were concerned that Anim would not separate Trumas HaMaisus from these vegetables, assuming that it is payah, which is exempt from Trumas HaMaisus. However, since in reality these vegetables are not payah, they are mechuyev b'Trumas HaMaisus, and Anim would be eating tevel.